This is Cresso. I'm here for my third part of the Human Journal. And the last part, I talk about basically how we condition our mind to basically be attached to the physical, and how our society on Earth, everything that goes on is mental, and how the physical and mental, how it works side by side. I'm gonna talk about more interactions, my take on the interactions with people, and how other people interact with each other. You know, it's not just me. I'm going to talk about that more a little bit. I'm going to stretch as more, and I'm going to express stuff more in this clip. So maybe I'm just going to talk a little bit where I left off on the second part or the first part. But, you know, my purpose of writing, or excuse me, recording my journal, I just felt like I just needed to do it for myself. I needed to do it for myself. I needed to, basically, I have the desire to express stuff to anybody that's interested of listening. And just talk about things from, even though I'm consciousness, but talking things from an ET point of view, whether those believe me or not. But, you know, I'm very straightforward about my background, so it's a pleasure for me sharing these things on a recording. I'm going to talk about how I observe how people basically just how we look at each other. You know, even though we all consciousness. You know, it's a little bit from the last part. A lot of people, I realize, that do things basically for, again, like I was telling you about, approval. There's some things that people do, I just kind of wonder to myself, like, you know, why people do certain things, or why they go about in a certain way to get approval, you know. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I feel that, what divides, what I analyze, what divides people also, it's competition, it's fear, but it's arrogance. I'm just gonna give some examples. I just see that, you know, some people, it's like, I feel that, I'm not gonna say everybody, but I'm gonna say it throughout humanity, there seem to be a lot of different clubs or groups. That's the thing about humanity I learned. It's about so many different groups, or you could call it clubs. And I'm like, you know, it's like, to get into these groups or these whatever clubs, it's like you got to do certain things, or, you know, it's, again, it's what I was talking about from my last journal, the second part. You got to prove something to somebody. It's just amazing. And I had a taste of those feelings, even though I never really cared to join groups in a sense. I mean, I like groups, but I never go about in a way that I have to invest my energy into trying to prove something to somebody in terms of trying to be part of a group. I just simply join a group, but other than that, I never really have to work towards it. But I realized that a lot of people, you know, let's say you have something to share, something that's great. You want to share things to the world, right? Let me just try to pick an example here. Something that something I picked up recently, but somebody that I want to discuss something about anything to do with science, or something that they discover, or whatever they feel that an idea that they connect from within, but they make, they want to make it a scientific fact, let's just say. And I've heard stuff, I watched clips, I heard stuff. Some people feel that they have to, whatever they have to share, they have to basically go by a small panel of people. For example, like to get approved, to at least be whatever information that the individual wants to share with everybody. The person feels that they have to go to this person in order to be validated. And I said to myself, why is it seems to be a pattern in some way, of some form or another throughout our society? Now, I'm just using scientific facts or whatever somebody that wants to share. Okay, just an example here. I analyze this a lot, and the person has some formula or whatever. Something, let's just say Einstein. Let's say Einstein, he made himself a name for himself. I'm sorry, excuse me. Right? Even though a lot of people looked at him as crazy, but he made a name for himself. He's a genius. So a lot of people, even to this day, look up to Einstein. Okay? Well, let's just say somebody else. Somebody else. Person feels that they are a genius too, but they want to share something. But again, like I said, I realized that the person have to go through a small group of people just to get validated. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I realized that the reason why it's like that is because, you see, a lot of people feel that if everybody else needs to take the person seriously, they have to have some credential. Basically, it's like, and that's the thing about humanity, is like, it's like there are some people, I'm not saying everybody, but there are some people that don't want to listen to some people because, again, they don't have enough credential, or they're not some sort of celebrity or whatever, or they're not recognized by a small group of people in order for the rest of the world to basically take anything what you're saying seriously. And that's the thing I realized about a pattern within humanity. Now, even though I'm saying humanity, not everybody, but I just want to say a large number of people, okay? And I'm sharing, this is the journal I'm writing. This is my take on my experience throughout life on Earth so far, and how people interact with each other, or just all that. And I realized that, all those things is mental also. It's all mental. And also physical. So the person has to the person has to be approved by a small network of people. Then the person has to put together some incredible evidence to back the person's claim, for everybody to basically say, wow, this is great, this person's genius. Because the person basically been through the process of basically being approved by a small network of people. I feel that because of these things, I feel that this is why a large number of people decided to be afraid to share things to people. Because, you see, I analyze this, that a lot of people feel like no one's not going to take their words seriously. I often feel that way too, throughout my human experience. I have these thoughts. I said to myself, why do I have even the slightest concern whether anybody will take anything what I have to say seriously so far in all my clips I created on YouTube, and everything I shared on Twitter, and wherever I go on the internet? Why do I have the slightest concern? It's because my own mind is suggesting things to me that basically you're not worthy. you're just not good enough. And because we condition our mind in a certain way, maybe it could be from upbringing. Maybe from upbringing, your parents tell you you're not good enough. Nobody's not gonna listen to you. You gotta work hard. You gotta do all these things. All these things are suggested. So this is why a lot of people don't feel like they can't expand, for example. And I'm talking about expanding spiritually. And I feel that I have to I have to have a vision, what I envision within people, that the people are connected and that people share stuff. And the idea of feeling rejected is non-existence, because people understand that everybody's consciousness. Yes, I understand people are not going to connect with everything, but I do envision that everybody basically will feel at peace with themselves, or they will feel loved. They will love themselves and they will feel loved, because that's what they are. They are loved, and they don't have to basically get approval by anybody. And this is the thing that goes through humanity, is that it's this thing, it's this club. You got to get into this group or this club. And I realize all those things, that's just divides people. Competition too. Competition there. And it's like, if everybody really step outside their mind, everything is a decision making. That if you look at things spiritually, how life, see, a lot of things in everything in life connects. There's no limits, basically. It makes sense to what I'm saying, but for those that lean in toward their head, it's not gonna, the things that I'm saying is not gonna make any sense. That's the thing. That's the difference. And, this is all. I realize this is all part of the human experience. Being in clubs or groups, being divided. One person's idea claimed to be better than the next person. Just all this stuff, and it doesn't do anything. You're creating a reality, but just recording my journal and just analyzing my experience, like any experience in life. You're going through an experience and you're sharing with people. Well, I'm sharing my human experience. I know this may sound odd to a lot of people hearing this, because you basically don't hear anybody express things like this, like, oh wow, this is how I'm feeling on my human experience. It's like, it's just gonna sound weird to your head. I'm just crazy. But honestly, I got to a point to myself that I don't care if I sound crazy. I have preference. I share things online. I have different plans that I'm going to do. I'm going to share more things about myself in public. But yeah, it's just life. The only thing that keeps me, another thing that keeps me going at life is infinite. I embrace it because I realize who I am, because I reconnected to consciousness. And it's just life is amazing. Even every now and then when I'm having my experience, when I'm talking about my human experience, my own mind, okay, every now and then, my own mind will suggest things to me that, why you keep saying these things. I created a clip about that, about crystal thoughts. That's a clip that I created a few months ago. So why I'm sharing things like that, people are not going to take you seriously and all that stuff. So I just continuously do what I did. I continuously share because I want to. I realized that, when people talk about like stuff that's phenomenal, I realize that other people laugh at other people because it's just not part of the clique. What I mean is like it's not the everyday life that a lot of us grew up with, the ideas. So, for example, it's an example. Like myself, I expressed that I reincarnated from another humanoid race. Let's say it is another person that shares these things, right? That person will express things to me or to anybody else that he's been or she's been laughed at because I'm basically sharing my life. And I look at this to myself as an example that why people laugh, Our own mind, we condition our mind also to make ourselves small. You make yourself small for all an experience. It's all an experience. So you laugh at somebody because they're saying something that's phenomenal, right? But what you're doing is that you're making yourself very small. But again, like I say, it's just an experience. There's really shouldn't be any surprise or anything about life. If somebody's from a different dimension, if they say that's what they are, that's what they are. But I realize when people do laugh, it's fear. It's fear. It's hard to imagine something that's outside the norm. It's hard for a lot of people. It's hard to accept, but not everybody. A lot of people are very open, and everything's a choice. There's different things. I analyze how people interact with each other. It's just I did say a lot of stuff within humanity is very strange, but yeah, it's all an experience. Everything, the whole thing. Then you got you got some people, they rely on their intelligence so much to the point that they look down on other people. You got one person feel that they could speak their language, they could speak it properly. They got excellent grammar, and people talk about they got these certificates or these degrees, so people attach themselves to that. And I said to myself, wow, it's all those things mental too, and physically, because you're presenting something to show something to somebody to say, hey, look, I'm smart. So you need a piece of paper to tell you that you're smart. And because you're looking down on somebody because you speak proper grammar, and you look down on somebody else that don't speak well, I realize that people do this a lot. Not everybody, but a lot of people do this. They do this on the web. I realize when people make fun of somebody else's grammar, I realize it's because they're doing it to attack somebody. Let's say somebody's basically expressing something, right? Somebody's expressing something, but there's a lot of truth into this. But the person's grammar is not, it's not the best. But then people, you see, because of people decide to be arrogant, okay, by choice, and that's also an experience now, okay? You will basically not see the bigger picture, what the message behind what the person's saying, and you would insult this person because of their grammar, or because they used the wrong word, or they didn't, whatever it is the case may be, okay? But the person has a really good point. He's just, she or he are expressing himself, just want to share things to somebody or whoever. And I see that, a lot of people. It took me a while to see this, that why people, they don't really see the bigger picture, but they're being a grammar teacher. It's because the person is basically being egotistic, arrogant, and you basically thinking that because you're going to insult somebody's grammar because they're saying something that probably you don't agree, but you're going to use something that you figure in your head, this might be a low blow. So you're going to basically attack somebody's grammar, hoping that the person that you're attacking is going to have low self-esteem. Okay? And if the person decides to have low self-esteem that's being teased because of its grammar, then that's also an experience too. But you figure that if you tease somebody else's their grammar and all that, you would think the person will not come back and express itself no more, because you figured that the person's gonna be so conscious about, oh my gosh, if I speak up, you know, if I say the wrong thing, I'm gonna be laughed at by everybody. And you know what? There's been cases that way. And you know what? I was one of those people. I was one of those people that I've seen other people insult other people because other people think they're smarter than the next person. And I expressed some things, I don't remember why, on the internet forum. But there are some people choose to ignore that, and just basically talk about my grammar. I realized the ingredient for this is just, you know, to not let it fade you, is not give a damn what nobody thinks about you. If you have something to share, and yes, if your grammar is off, don't worry about it. This is what I analyze within humanity. You know, you really gotta not give a damn about what anybody else thinks. You gotta love yourself to the point that you're going to express yourself, no matter how silly you may sound. This is something that even I, to this day, I'm taking on to this. Sometimes the mind, again, it's all mental. Everything I shared so far in this, it's all mental. Your mind is going to suggest different ways that, oh, you're going to be very critical towards yourself. Oh, you don't say that. You're going to sound stupid. Oh, no one's not going to take you seriously. And I realized, I look at all this in a far lens, and I realize that this is what divides people. You know, because you see, there's layers of other stuff too that's involved in this, and it's all mental. It's your upbringing. I'm going to basically talk about that a little bit. It's your upbringing. Because you was teased about your grammar, or your parents were a certain way towards you, so you're going to pass it on and treat somebody else the same way that you've been treated when you was growing up. The same thing that goes for physical violence that people display toward one another. You pass it on. Interesting thing about, you know, this whole human experience, I realized even though these things seem to be so compelling, I realized, because I know what life really is, I realized that everything's changeable. Even though it feels like the world is so cold, and I felt that way about life for so long, I do believe that everything's possible. I do see in spirit that the world is as one, because everybody in spirit is connected. I do see that. I truly do. It doesn't matter what my mind would try to suggest. My mind would suggest that I'm crazy. And that's the whole thing, you know. So to go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier about the groups or these clubs, these secret clubs or whatever, you know, it's like, my thing is that when your mind suggests things to you that you're not good enough, you got to really consistently reshape your mind and say that you are good enough, because your consciousness. You got to reshape your mind. You have, you know, it's, and everything is an experience. Even if you don't decide to not reshape your mind and continuously live through a story that no one's not going to take you seriously, and you're like, for example, you're a loser. You know what? It's an experience. You know, it's not like you're condemned forever. No. You know, if you want to go through that, you're free to do that. You're free to live like a loser. You're free to live like you're this lone ranger, and no one's not going to basically listen to you. I'm saying this because I had some feelings like that every once in a while. But then I quickly bounced back. I quickly bounced back. I know who I am. I care less if I'm a celebrity. I shared this in my celebrity clip about things, how this whole idea of celebrity goes. I'm not looking to be popular. I'm going to share what I have to share, and that's it. Because I want to. It's a joy. It's a highest joy for me to share things to everybody. So I don't really care if I'm not a celebrity or not. I honestly don't care. But I'll look at it and I'll say this to anybody. If you doing something that's just like so radical and it's so compelling and everybody's like, oh my gosh, wow. And then somehow you become a celebrity, like the paradigm itself will just come to you. You know, you're free to take it. I mean, if the celebrity paradigm approached me, you know, it's an idea that we all create. We think that that's the only way. We think that that's another thing too. I want to express this a little. That we feel that in order to be connected with somebody, you have to be a celebrity. But I do envision that in spirit, that people don't really have to be somebody that's a shining star to be recognized. People are going to be connected spiritually, and they don't have to do anything or gain some accolades and to get some sort of approval. No, not really. But if somehow I end up being a celebrity, even though I don't care for it, I'm not going to let it I'm not going to let the idea of celebrity shape me. I am what I am. And that's it. I'm Creso. I'm consciousness. I could be anything I want to be because I'm consciousness. So I learn a lot about just how people are with each other. And I wanted to say this, you know, throughout my experience. Nobody's better than nobody. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your educational background. You're let's say you're the top of your class in your language. So, okay. Nobody's better than nobody. You know, you know, and I'll call it out because I know how this whole idea works. You're very insecure of yourself. So yet you want to knock somebody else down because you're insecure. But you know what? The person with the bad grammar, let the person express himself or herself. You don't have to agree, but just know that, look, this person and you are consciousness. That's it. There's enough room for everybody to express feelings and ideas and so. Excuse me, etc., etc. So, you know, it's just that, yeah, you know, I think a lot of us, we need to, I realize the competition seems to be, I feel like competition is like a cancer of the spine. It does. That's what it does. We allow competition to divide us in so many ways, and we figure that like we decide to be stuck because our minds suggest a lot of things. Our minds suggest that there's no other way to go or there's no other way to be, and that's not the case. There are many ways to be. You don't have to compete against somebody, yet you are still recognized because you know what? Your consciousness. You don't need to ounce one person down to get recognized. Again, I'm repeating myself because you're consciousness. It's the thing I realize about humanity. I see all the patterns about this human experience so far. A lot of stuff that I share about is basically the truth. You could agree or not. You could disagree with me or not. I mean, excuse me. You see, I make errors in my club. Do I stress about it? Sometimes I do. A lot of times I don't. Like, whatever. I'm sharing things freely, openly with everybody. So whatever I have to share, you could agree or not. That's it. You know, a lot of stuff that talk about the being, you know, just how the human mind works. I don't have to be a psychiatrist or a therapist. I really don't. I don't require a degree, nor do I care to have a degree. I don't care for that stuff. I just break the human paradigms in simplest forms. It's like all the ingredients. You just gotta read the ingredients. You gotta know what the ingredients does. That's what the human paradigm is. It has all the ingredients. Okay, competition. You feeling down about yourself. Your ideas in your head is suggesting things to you. That's why, and then you feel low. You feel a certain way about yourself, and that's why people feel depressed and other stuff. Your mind suggests a lot of things to you. Whether you're a loser, you're a depressed person, you're a sick person, and we take on this. And this is why a lot of people, that's why a lot of people are experiencing illness, because everything is the mind suggests. A lot of people figured that people feel like, oh, that's not the mind. Because your own head is telling you, oh no, it has nothing to do with the mind. You're physically ill. It just happened out of nowhere. So yeah, someone like me will say to you, yeah, everything is in your mind. Your mind is suggesting for you to be ill. But some of you will shoot it down, because again, you're gonna feel that, no, it's not in my head. It's coming from my body. Look, I'm sick, da 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 da. So a lot of us, depends where you at, and depends on the experiences, depends on the experience that you choose, you will just take on it. You know, but some of you that's open with it, you will be able to navigate out of the being illness. You could basically say to yourself, I'm well. By you reshaping your mind or reprogramming your mind, okay, because you are ultimately power now. I realize that a lot of people, I've seen people basically just change their life just like that. I realize a lot of people will say it's a miracle. Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. But it's the person that takes full control, because who the person is. You see, the person's consciousness. You know, consciousness plays many ways. Consciousness could play the one that's in control. And consciousness could play the game that I'm not in control. But actuality, you are in control. You're in control not to be in control. So you see what I mean? So no matter how dramatic your life is, you always have control. It's the thing I learned about being human and this experience, is that a lot of us play this, that we have no power. So yet we continuously take on ideas that we don't like, because we feel that there's nothing we could do. I realize a lot of stuff that I look throughout society, and like I say, there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't really have to be that way. Things could change. A lot of us, you know, not all, we become lazy. We become lazy-minded because your own head is telling you, oh no, it's too hard, or it's impossible. It can never happen that way. It's been a pattern within humanity for so many decades. So many decades. And you know what? The thing is, I realize as being humans that we really decide to hold ourselves back. We do. Then your head, you see, again, it's all mental and physical. And your head is telling you, it'll justify itself to say why it's not possible. And you will go by it. You will literally go by it. You will put a stamp on it and say it's official. This cannot be done. I will say things straight up like this. You see, I inspired people about basically shifting out of the whole political system, because I realized, even though I created politics, and I realized a lot of stuff that what it doesn't bring anything good. But a lot of you, through fear, will say, no, we need politics. We need to live on the same old stuff. We need to have a politician that will basically lie to your face and give you lip service. We need that because it's an experience. You want to experience that, and then your mind will suggest that it's necessary. You need to have a figure, a public figure, to lead the way, because see, in your head is telling you that, you see, without that, where are you gonna go? It's a lot of all these things are suggested ideas. But do you have to take on that idea? No, you don't. You're afraid because you're afraid something's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen. So yeah, your own head is formulating this idea, and that's why a lot of you play the game of being outrageous and feeling like there's nothing gonna change. But then you will still support the same ideas that you feel frustrated and that you created it. That's the thing. It's the thing about humanity I learned. There's so many ways to just basically change things up in life. There's so many ways, endless amount of ways to just change things up so fast, so rapidly, that you don't even have to move a muscle and just change. But a lot of people are basically decide to be powerless by choice. But you know what? I know, because all this is an experience. I am fully aware that everything's changeable. I used to get all panicky and frustrated with people. Sometimes I do, but I know more now. I know better now. Because I reconnected to who I am. I know everything's changeable. So even though things may look like it's set, I realize myself throughout my experience so far right now is that, hey, everything's changeable. I don't have to sweat it. Government, for example, may seem established and is not going nowhere. I don't sweat it, because you see, in spirit, government is basically shifted out to a different dimension. That's the truth. You see, I'll continue to say certain things in the physical in a different time frame. What I mean, a different time frame. When I say things, I see things in spirit, I talk ahead, as if, basically that it already happened. Sometimes I switch to a different time track. Let's say, for example, you see in your head saying, well, for an example now, government's still here. What are you talking about? You see, that's a different time track. So I will basically go on that time track and say to you that what needs to be done to basically remove the idea of government. But if I say things like, I see things in spirit, it already happened. You see, I want to mention a little bit about time. You see, time is not what you grew up with that your scientist tells you. Okay, time doesn't go by a linear rule. Just time is like a spiraling energy. It just goes here and there. It just goes everywhere. So I could say things ahead and be confident. Yes, I can. I can shift into different dimensions in spirit. Yes, even though physically you may see me here, but I can shift into different dimensions. I can. Can it be done physically? Yes, it can. I do. I like to lean towards spiritually, because I know spiritually has the ultimate. Spiritually, that's where everything starts the most. The mind, it may, your head may tell you no, it doesn't. But ultimately, because consciousness is spirit. Spiritually, everything starts. That's where everything starts, spiritually. So, again, when I say things that I see things spirit, it's because this is what I envision right now. This is what's going on right now spiritually. And yeah, I definitely, but yeah, a lot of us, we decide to feel a certain way, and again, the mind is going to suggest things. It's going to suggest things to you. It's going to tell you that, things can't be changed. Because if you break it down, it's because of fear. You're afraid. So yeah. It's not just government, but it's a lot of other things that you feel like And you, in the back of your head, even though your mind suggested that you need it or it's necessary, in the back of your head, you figure that, you know, I wish these things could be better, or you kind of come up with an imaginative thought. And that's good news. At least you're open. But you say to yourself, you imagine, it's like, you know what? I wish things could just be different, or shifted or removed somewhere else. And you know what? Everything's possible. Everything's possible in life. Like, you know, a thing I realized within, you know, my life here on earth so far is this idea of hunger. It seems to be a tradition. I say to myself, you know, it's quite easy, quite simple to basically end this campaign of hunger. But the reason why, you know, is because people decide to go about things in a certain way because it's an experience. People will come up with all kinds of excuses that why people are hungry. People going through hunger, starvation, whatever. They'll come up with stories that people steal other people's food and da-da-da, or there's not enough food resources and stuff like that. But yet, still in all, things could be solved very easy. But it seems like, you know, I realize that all part of the human paradigm is to basically live hard. Your head is telling you that life is hard. That's the real campaign behind all this. That life is difficult. See, all that is coming from your head. But I know that life is not difficult. I'm glad I'm doing this third part of my journal. The human journal. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna create some more parts whenever it comes to, you know, whenever I can. But I just want to share this, you know, for myself, and I want to share this for everybody. But yeah, it's all life is all about possibilities. Life is not hard. Life is quite simple. But again, we all have choices, and we all want to go through certain experiences. Whether you feel like you have no choice or not, yes, you always have a choice. You always do. And you know what? Even if you pick the baddest choice, you're never condemned. You know what I mean? Condemned like forever. Or there's no way out. There's always a way out. Even if you try to trap yourself or limit yourself so much, there's always a way out. But your head is telling you no, it's not. That's why religion creates this. That's why the idea of religion we created, and it creates the idea of hell. This idea that you're gonna go to hell for eternity, and that's it. See, that's another experience altogether. But I created a clip on religion. But yeah, there's always a way out, all the time. And you give yourself as much chances as you want, because you know what? Because we're consciousness. That's who we are. I'm so glad I did the third part of the human journal, and I really felt touched to do this, and everything I expressed so far. I keep everything what I have to share real. I keep it real. Nothing is scripted or rehearsed. I don't really rehearse a lot of things what I have to say. Maybe a small, like a portion, like a little tiny bit, just to get an idea or feel for what I have to share. But for the amount of time that I spend on recording, or the length of my video clip, or audio clip, excuse me, I don't write it down, I don't rehearse it. Get a feel for it. Okay, this is what I want to share. Boom, I just do it. So I'm just doing my journal, my recording. Just like when you just want to write things down. Like you're gonna write it, like let's say for example you're gonna write a journal. Like something in your mind, just write it down, boom. But in audio clips, I don't rehearse really. And what I mean is I don't have a cue card in front of me. Just about majority of my clips, I don't use cue cards. I might do one day, but I just don't feel like it's the same if I were to do it. Okay, I will be back for my fourth part of the human journal.